Lick number 88. What I'm going to do for licks number 88 through 95 will be presenting the modes of the major scale. We're going to use a 3-note per string version of each of these. There's a pattern that emerges with the use of it this way, and that when you stick to 3 notes per string, that kind of helps in memorizing and just getting your positioning where you're going to be playing each of these. So I'm going to do one of them a day. So the first one is the F major scale, and it's the Ionian mode. These are all going to be based on the F major scale, and I'd like you to think of the F major scale as the parent scale of these modes, and the modes as the offspring of the parent. So the first mode is the same as the major scale, and it's F Ionian mode. And here's the scale. And here's how we're going to play it. We're going to play, well, first of all, I'd like you to think of this as being in the second position, and we're stretching down with the first finger. When you're in a certain position, it's based on whatever fret your first finger is on. The first finger would take the second fret, second finger would take the third fret, third finger would take the fourth fret, and fourth finger would take the fifth fret. That's if we're in second position. Now this also would allow you to reach down with the first finger to grab a fret underneath your position, and you could also reach up with the fourth finger to grab a fret above without technically leaving the position you're in. So we're staying in the second position, and we're going to be reaching down for this scale down to the first fret. So we're going to use the first finger, the second finger, and the fourth finger on the first, third, and fifth frets. That's on the 6th string. Then we're going to go to the 5th string and do the same thing with the stretch. So first fret, third fret, 5th fret with the first, second, and fourth fingers. Now we're going to move on to the 4th string and use the first, second, and fourth finger again, but now without the stretch. So we're going to be on the 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and 5th fret. We're going to do the exact same pattern on the 3rd string. First finger, second finger, fourth finger. So that's the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th fret. And then we're going to move on to the 2nd string, and now we're going to do a position shift. So we're shifting from the 2nd position up to the 3rd position when we go to the 2nd string. And we're going to use the 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers. So we're in the 3rd position now again, and we're on the 3rd fret, 5th fret, and 6th fret of the 2nd string. And that actually completes the 2 octaves of the scale. Now we do have the 1st string available to go up a little bit higher with the scale into the beginning of the next octave. So we're going to use the 3rd fret, 5th fret, and 6th fret with the 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers to get up a little bit higher into the beginning of the next octave of the scale. When you come down the scale, sometimes we repeat the top note, sometimes we don't. So here's it playing it without repeating the top note. And here's if I did repeat the top note. Couple of things in terms of patterns that happen with things like this in general, with the right hand picking, is if you play 3 notes on a string, and if you're using a steady down up pattern, if you have an odd number of notes on a string, as we do in each of these cases, because we're doing 3 notes per string, so we go down on the 6th string. When we go on to the next string, the pattern's going to reverse to up, down, up. So it's down on the 6th string, and then up, down, up on the 5th string. Then it's going to reverse again to the down, up, down on the next string. So when you have an odd number of notes on a string and you're using a steady down, up picking pattern, an odd number of notes will reverse the order of the, instead of down, down, you'll have up, up on the next string. If you have an even number of notes on a string, the pattern remains the same. For instance, when we do the A minor pentatonic with 2 notes per string, we have a down, up on the 6th string that we play. When we move on to the 5th string, we do down, up again. So if there's 2 notes a string, you maintain the down, up pattern. On the pentatonic, when I usually use it as an exercise, when I get up to the highest note, I usually have a student repeat that top note so they can get back on a down, up pattern. So they end up going down, up, 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 down, up. That's when we're doing 2 note per string pentatonics, the basic boxed versions of those. So back to our F major scale in our Ionian mode. That's one of the pattern. That's a right hand pattern that goes on in terms of playing in general. As far as the left hand goes, I want you to watch as we go through more of these scales. This will become more obvious, and I'll talk about it. What's going to happen is that this pattern with the stretch is actually going to happen 3 times in a row. The reason we don't see it 3 times in a row on this first scale we're doing here is because it would actually start from the 5th of the scale. So we'd have to have a 7th string, a lower string. If I did, then you would see the 1, 2, 4 with a stretch happen. Then we'd move on to the 1, 2, 4 with a stretch on the 6th string, and 1, 2, 4 with a stretch on the 5th string. So the pattern with a stretch, the 1, 2, 4 with a stretch, I'm talking finger pattern 1, 2, 4, happens 3 times when you're constructing these scales with 3 notes per string like this. So think of when you start this F major scale, this is really the second time the stretch pattern happens. Then when you go on to the 5th string, that's the 3rd time the stretch pattern happens. Again, you don't see the first one because we'd need a 7th string to see that. Then what happens is a 1, 2, 4 pattern again, but without a stretch, and that pattern happens twice. Then when we move on to the next string, we do go up a fret because we're compensating for the tuning of the 2nd string. That's one of the reasons why we move up like that. Because when you tune the guitar from the 5th fret, when you tune the 2nd string, you go down to the 4th fret to tune it, and then back up to the 5th fret. So a lot of times you have to think in terms of when you get to the 2nd string, you have to compensate back up a fret. So that's what we're doing here. So again, that's the 2nd time the stretch pattern happens. That's the 3rd time. Then we get the 1, 2, 4 without a stretch, and 1, 2, 4 again without a stretch. Now we're moving up a fret to the 2nd string, and now we're going to get the 1, 3, 4 pattern. That's going to happen twice. So all of the different forms of the modes we're going to be working on, you'll notice that pattern happening. You'll get 3 patterns or 3 occurrences of the stretch, 1, 2, 4, followed by 2 occurrences of the 1, 2, 4 without a stretch. And then wherever you start, the next 2 strings, you'll get 1, 3, 4. No stretches on those either. So again, we'll see that pattern. So it's 3 with a stretch, 2 without a stretch, the 1, 2, all the 1, 2, 4s. And then you get a 1. Then you're going to get the 1, 3, 4s. Will happen twice, again with no stretching on those. I'm going to put on a jam track and just explain a little bit about playing over this. You're using this scale. So this is just basically a jam playing an F chord pattern. So if I played the full scale, we'd get this sound. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I double the speed, thing to pay attention to here are where your tone centers are. So your F's in this case are on the 1st fret of the 6th string, on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, and on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. So those are where your F tone centers are. Getting some ideas for improvising with this. We can do like the 1st note, 2nd note, 3rd note, and then go back down. And we can do that at each octave, so we'll get this kind of pattern. Let me get where the beat is again here. 2, 3, 4. And if we went from that, this, and then went into the full major scale, you'd get it sounding like this. We can go up 5 notes and then back down. 3, 4. So that's just one idea you can use. Another idea might be using like 16th notes on each, 4 16th notes on each note, something like this. Okay, so that's the F Ionian mode, and I tried to give you just a few ideas. I'll do a few various ideas for each of these modes as I do them each day, just in terms of getting a little bit of improvisation going. Some modes will probably feel more natural for you than others in terms of coming up with different ideas for improvisation. And that's going to be about it for today's lick. And again, so each of the licks for the next eight licks, well, this one is 88 and then up to 95. We're basically going to be presenting. I'll basically be presenting a different mode for each one and some ideas of improvising within each of the modes, along with the basic jam track vamp like this. And so that'll be it for lick number 88.